Welcome back to another video. We're just taking some time out from the e-skate racing weekend to have a little chat about the e-skate scene 2020 and what we think is going to happen. So obviously I'm joined by Wright. I'm sure all of you know who he is.
Alright guys.
Yeah, so we were just having a chat yesterday about kind of, we've seen things move along a lot and kind of where we see e-skate going in 2020. Obviously we've seen the car blowing up recently, loads of people getting into the scene, like events like this happening.
Yeah.
I guess the two main things to talk about will be the future of off-the-shelf boards and then the future of DIY sort of Trampa-esque kind of things, where you think the scene is going to go over the next sort of 11-12 months.
Yeah, man.
So I guess, should we start with off-the-shelf boards and then move on to like do it yourself?
Yeah.
So obviously we're like 6 months from the GTR launch. GTR, you saw like a big step up from the old GT boards, range, power distribution, components of the boards. We've already seen people copying the GTR and bringing it to market, I mean, really fast. So, I mean, purely based on that, I see people like Evolve pushing what they're going to do, what they're going to have to push.
They're going to have to.
What they do next. They might not do it in 2020, it might come in 2021, but you know they're going to be working on it in 2020 for sure.
They have to be, yeah, definitely. I mean, the GTR was really good for Evolve because I think it's fair to say, and I think a lot of people would agree with me, the previous generation of boards, the GTR, although very similar to the GTR, were quite lacking in some areas. And Evolve stepped up to the plate with what I would call, you know, a mid-version revision. It's not really a new board. There's a bit of new technology in there.
Everything was refined. It's like the same board, but with all the little bits you wanted.
Yeah, I definitely would have liked to see like new remote and stuff like that, but I'm pretty sure Evolve will be working on those things. And Evolve like took the scene, especially in the UK, right?
Totally, yeah.
It's crazy.
It is, even if you don't have an Evolve, you will find you turn up to events and it's Evolve dominated. And also kind of like leading this, well, I'll say leading the scene, let's say, kind of like setting up the events, cycling parks, stuff like that, World Cups, all board events,
the kart and track stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
they do really well. But I mean, even before the kart and tracks and stuff, they basically, I mean, before Evolve were big in the UK, it was boosted originally. Do you remember like the old group rides? When you'd be like 10 of us.
Short group rides.
And there'd be like 7 boosted to the group rides.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
There'd be like maybe 1 DIY. And 1 slick revolution or something like that. That was kind of like the makeup, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it just went Evolve.
Yeah, totally. I think it's because the Evolves, even back then, were still leaving boosters behind. People just wanted that little bit more range. I think the GTX probably shifted that. That was the first board I looked at and just went, what the hell is this? You know, in its day when it came out, it was like, wow. Yeah. And it wasn't very long ago. We've seen things move on insanely since that. Yeah, I mean, I know we're going to talk about boosted kind of a little bit later on, but I find they've been left behind.
Oh man, I mean, Evolve, like, I mean, what people wanted more from their boosted board. The boosted board failed to deliver that, really. I mean, they came out, the V1 and the V2 is very similar, and then even the Stealth is a departure from their old partners, and they took everything in-house, basically. And that's when it all went, really, I think, went south for them. Didn't innovate, whereas I think Evolve, especially with Evolve, it's their 2-in-1 system. I think that's a lot of the reason why they've been able to dominate the scene up to now. And I think that since all of this has happened, China have caught up massively in the last few years. So I'm pretty sure that a lot of the old companies, the old innovators, are gonna die out in favour of Chinese boards soon, because they're just the own board and these sort of things that come out. The new X-Way, Flex, that's amazing.
My God, I mean, for riding in a city where e-skate isn't particularly legal, and you look at a board that's super stealthy, the batteries built into the into the body with those discrete hub motors.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see people really going for that. They've really kind of found a little niche there.
Definitely.
Do you know what I mean? Where it's like
probably not
subtle.
I wouldn't say in the UK. I mean, street wheels, hub motored street wheels. That's pretty dead in the UK, isn't it? Because our roads are so bad.
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, you look at that board and you don't think, oh, it's an electric skateboard. It's the kind of thing you could get away with saying it's just a skateboard.
Yeah,
I think
true.
They might find a little stealth market there in places where e-skate is particularly frowned upon.
Definitely. I mean, then we had Evolve, and then all of a sudden La Croix came out of nowhere, right?
Yes, I remember seeing the old bamboo La Croix, I can't remember the name of it.
Prototype.
Yeah, and it's like the one that just went in a straight line and did not turn corners at all. And I remember trying that out, and I was like, yeah, it's nice, but it's not that carby kind of feel I'm used to. But then when they brought out the Brains one there, the one Tom's got.
Oh, then there's that.
Yeah. Different game altogether. They really stepped up on that one.
And I think that's the reason why they've been so successful. I think we're going to see more of this year and next year. Is the big batteries, big boards. It's all these days. It's all about range, man.
Totally.
The thing is that like for the minute until this year, we've kind of maxed where we could go with power.
Yep.
We've sort of a bit lacking with grip on the grip front and traction. And range, and I think that the La Croix certainly answers the range problem, especially the Lone Star. I mean, it's ridiculous.
That is an insane board, and it's just all made up batteries. The whole thing is just But when you talk to people who went for a 50 mile ride, and you're just like,
mind blown.
Yeah, we have to. Like an Evolve, it's great to ride. And as soon as you run out of battery, it's like find a pub, you sit down for a meal, and you take your time because you need at least 2 hours to put juice back into it. It's like it breaks your day up way too long. And I think range is probably going to be the driving factor this year.
Range and grip, 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
100%. I mean, we're getting the range now. The problem is the battery technology is holding that back now because actually the physical size of these batteries, it's just ridiculous.
And the weight as well.
And the weight,
You try and pick up some of these boards, and they're not portable.
Yeah, I mean, you get a flat somewhere and you don't have a tube, or you break a belt and you don't have a belt. You got to drag that thing.
Not possible.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like battery technology is going to hold that back. I mean, I think that for now that's probably for the battery size. That's probably where we could go. We could definitely do some stuff with efficiency to increase range through other means. But I mean, everyone's riding rubber tyres now, and especially in the UK.
Yeah, well, London street wheels, that was AT, isn't it? I mean, you can ride 107s, I guess, but still, it's not comfortable, it's not fun.
Yeah.
And you can't just, with ATs, I mean, you just pull the trigger and you can look around at your environment and enjoy the city, whereas you ride in 107s, you're constantly kind of looking for that next hole.
Yeah.
And that's not fun.
So, I mean, like riding rubber tyres is pretty bad for range anyway.
Yeah, totally.
So, I mean, things like change, like new drives that might be coming out and stuff like that might be a bit more efficient. I don't really know where that's going to go, really. It's one of those areas of development that we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
I don't really know the answer to it, but I think that we're going to find some more efficiency somewhere. Could be to do with gearing correctly and stuff like that, because at the minute some of the stuff that we do is a bit weird, but we do it because that's the way we've always done it, and that's the parts are available for that. So I think like higher KV motors and different gearing, that's definitely going to be important in the future.
Like you're saying, switching out the KV, maybe the ratios, and just having, like the Evolve, making the 2-in-1 for street and AT. If you could create a setup that gives you range, speed, torque variations, that kind of kit, just be able to change it up and say I can get an extra 5 to 10 miles out of my board would be fantastic. I wouldn't care if I lost the torque. If I was getting an extra 7, 8, 9 miles. Yeah,
I mean, easily changeable ratios is definitely something that people are looking for. 100%. I mean, gear drives is quite difficult to do with gears, which I think is the best drivetrain. You need like 3 gears really to make that possible. To make it, I mean, it's possible. Anything's possible to make it easy to do. And belt drives is quite difficult as well to change the ratios on. So I'll have to wait and see where that goes. But I think that is another area that definitely could be developing. Right now, these companies, they've got to be thinking about going to places where we're not currently doing stuff, like especially grip. Grip is a major problem.
Sure.
The problem with this track here right now is grip. These corners are so slippy for what we're riding. and we can solve the grip problem with coding to make the board smarter, and the drivetrains, the tyres, all these things can be developed and honed for better grip. And I think that's, you see Trampa with their 9-inch mud pluggers, the big mud plugger tyres. I mean, they are really grippy compared to their old tyres. You sacrifice torque, yes. You sacrifice battery life, yes. But the grip, which is something that you don't normally have, it more than makes up for those losses.
For sure, yeah.
So like tyres.
I was looking through Instagram this morning, and I was just flicking through, and I couldn't remember which board it was, but it just said now it comes with 4 tyre options, and it was from total slicks to like serious off-road anomalies, and then you had like 2 in between. And it's like, yeah, great, you could just switch out between slicks for racetrack and like say mud plugger type for off-roading. I noticed we had that big Nicky line ride the other day, and I put 2 anomalies on the back of my board. It made a massive difference. Yeah, really, really good. It was quite interesting to see actually, because Tom had 2 anomalies on the front and I didn't, and I noticed the front tyres, rather than giving him more grip, were actually picking up. Knobbles were picking up a lot more mud, throwing it at him. Yeah. So I had 2 slicks on the front and 2 knobbles on the back, which was quite interesting.
That was probably the way to go.
And it worked really well. Yeah.
Yeah, they were slipping. The other guys, the Evolves, I think it was Simon, was slipping all over the place.
Yeah.
Struggling. I think what we're going to see in the DIY sector this year, which is going to change a lot of stuff, and the production sector will catch up, because that tends to be what happens. The DIY scene does something, and then the production boards do it, etc., etc. All of the top voltage that people use nowadays is like a 12S board, but there are a load of motor controllers coming out this year at 16S, which is a lot higher of a voltage. Which means that the motor's going to run cooler because it can use less amps for the same power if you gear it correctly. There's a load of advantages to it, and we're definitely going to see there's a few controllers coming out this year at 16S. The problem with it is that the other components around that aren't really out yet. Small 16S BMSs, really high kV motors. We have some, but not that many options. Yeah, it's going to be super interesting to see what happens. I think boards are going to change a lot this year.
Yeah, so I find that, I mean, what's the options now for like motor controllers in the DIY scene?
Yeah, you've got Veda's own controller with Trampa, the VESC 6, which is probably the best on the market. And then you've got all of the other guys that make them, because it's an open source project. And
yeah, that's the thing I was going to say. Open source is really kind of opening it up to anyone to get involved, anyone to be able to like tweak it to. I mean, you can get super nerdy when it's open source and like tweak it to however you want it.
You can change it. I mean, the Unity is a good example of that. That's a branch of the main branch of the VESC. It's a fork basically in the VESC. So therefore, that motor controller is not compatible with the VESC firmware that Veda pumps out. You have to use Unity specific stuff. I think that's probably the best example of that. A lot of the other companies are basically just taking the schematic and building the VESC basically, and repackaging it, changing some components to make it maybe run a few more amps than the competitors or whatever, you know. But you know, you've got loads of options. Maytech, you've got Flipski, you've got well, the Unity's now dead, Inertia's dead, rest in peace. And you've got some new VESCs that are coming out this year. Trampa have a dual VESC, really smart dual VESC coming out this year. There's going to be Unity 2.0, I think, from Jeff. He's been working on something else. And there's some guys in China as well who've claimed the Foxbox. And they're making like a Foxbox dual as well. Because obviously with Inertia being dead, you can't get those controllers anymore. They were like super popular in the DIY scene. I've got like 4 Foxbox.
Gold dust.
I've got a Unity. You know, everyone's got them. Everyone's using. Everyone likes them. Because they're cheap. I mean, you can't beat the VESC 6 for quality and smoothness. But most of the time, one of these cheaper VESCs will do the job. No problem. So you don't want to run stupid amps anyway.
Yeah. Another thing I find the DIY scene solves is battery range. Like if you've got a board like yours with the battery box like velcroed onto it. If you want to go for a city cruise, you can put a little box on there, but you can literally just rip that off, just put in another stack, plug it in, and you're good to go for however far you want to go.
Yeah, it just depends on how many you can carry in your bag,
Yeah, totally. But I mean, even at home, if you're going, I'm just going for a short ride, I just put a little box on, cruise around, and then literally if you want to go miles, you could just unplug it, velcro that on, plug it in, and that's it. Range problem solved. apart from you obviously have to build that battery pack.
Yeah,
Or find something reliable to build that battery pack.
It's not easy. It takes me ages.
Yeah.
But changeable batteries is always like, you can't really go wrong with changeable batteries.
Yeah.
It's like you say, if you want to go into the woods and do something lightweight, you can just strap a couple of lipos on there and off you go. Or maybe you want to go on a big range thing, you take a bigger battery with it. That's really the concept for that sort of stuff. The DIY will probably always be king there because people don't care what the enclosure looks like. I use a dive box for mine, and people use lunch boxes and whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Obviously, the commercial board, it's a bit different. Trying to make something that looks nice, has a huge battery. I mean, I think the LaCroix does it pretty well.
Yeah.
I think the Lone Star looks a bit silly.
It's pretty deep. Yeah.
But I think it does that sort of big battery very well. But it's not easy to do that. You look like an Evolve. Really, you don't want it to get any thicker than that.
Yeah, I quite like the sleek look of the Evolve. Obviously we use a couple of chairs at the moment, but the carbon version you've got, it's so subtly put in there, and if that was deep, it would look clunky and ridiculous.
Yeah, you couldn't fit like a 12S 10p or 12S 12p or something on a board like this. It has to be a big board. And the DIY said we have big boards. We don't care how we strap it down, and we just go out and ride.
So how do you feel? I mean, a couple of years ago, people would have mentioned Trampa, and you're like, that's kind of, it's a niche over there, or it was like a niche just, for those crazy mountain boarders. And now we've seen Trampa really move into mainstream market.
Definitely.
What kind of future do you see for like companies like Trampa, DIY, kind of kit build?
It's a good question, mate, because really there aren't many companies in existence like Trampa that are quite unique.
Yeah.
If you look at companies that are doing real development work, proper grassroots engineering and development work.
Yeah.
You have Trampa that do that. Frank, their designer, very clever guy, great engineer, works with Vedo very closely doing the software, and has input into that VESC project. There's not a lot of companies doing that. All of that other development is basically being done in China.
Okay.
And I think Trampa deserves some recognition for that work. I think a lot of the time they don't get that recognition for the pushing. They do push in areas. They have some products that other people had first. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But they are definitely progressing things along, and you can see the way that they're sort of going with it now. They've sort of picked up a bit of speed. And I've been trying to shine a light on them in the last 6 months because I believe that they are a good company and they're going places. And I think that their board is always evolving. You see they've got the new VESC out now, the Mark III, new monster box for all that. And I think that there's a few more things coming from Trampa, lithium-ion solution for that monster box.
Okay.
When they have that in place, that is going to propel them even more. Because a lot of people, myself included, don't like big LiPo batteries.
Yeah, but even like deck sizes, if you're a taller person, they'll cut you a larger deck.
Yeah.
The amount of, when I hate short boards, it just doesn't work for someone tall. But I like the way Trampa, literally down to deck size, how do you stand, where do you want your feet?
Yep.
Starting from that and then building from there, they've really got a solution.
They're the most customizable board, off-the-shelf board that you can buy.
Yeah.
You can pick your deck size, your thickness, you can pick your wheel size, you can pick your gearing type, you can pick your gearing size, you can pick your transmission type, you can pick your suspension setup, anything you want, your wheel colours, there's loads of different options. And you name me another company that's even close to that, there isn't a single one.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that for Trampa, they're going to do really well. I think they're going to carry on doing really well and converting a lot of Evolve riders to electric mountain boarding.
I've noticed, a lot of people who are riding off-the-shelf boards have been looking, I mean myself included, I love riding my Evolve, I'll always ride it. I'm a city street rider, that's what I love, and I'll always ride my Evolve there, but now and again, I get to the point where I'm going so off-road, I've got the limits now. I can't go chugging through the woods in this mud. I've come back with my board just covered in crap, and it's like, I've hit that point where now a mountain board is going to be the thing. Riding the Seven Sisters was wonderful. I was mobbing down the hills, but I couldn't quite get up all the way. And I can see a lot of people really want to do that, kind of get out of the city and going for long rides.
100%, and with the trend towards legalization now as well, it's going to make this sport mainstream, like this hobby mainstream. There's going to be more people riding.
Yeah.
And well, riding on the roads is dangerous. And to be honest, for me, I'm the complete opposite. It's not fun. I much prefer to ride in the woods, the trails, the canal routes. You know, those things for me are really fun.
Yeah.
Really, really fun. The places where you can't take a normal board. You can be on your own, you know, just me and my mates.
Yeah, that's really weird because I mean, put me in London during rush hour from Vauxhall to Camden, and I'll just love screaming through the traffic and in a world of my own. Yeah, that's I love it. But
I like that sort of thing, man. But it's being in the woods during sunset, the sun coming through the trees.
Yeah.
And that sort of sketchiness of not knowing what's coming next and just having to like deal with it strapped to a board.
Yep, that Nicky Line ride when it was dark and there was like, we could not see a damn thing. I just had my shred lights to light the mud in front of me and you knew your board was just going to just pull through it. Absolutely no problem. It was taking concentration for me to get through there.
Yeah.
But I really do see Trampa this year. At least if they don't take off this year in a massive way, I can see that build up and that awareness growing, and them as a company growing to kind of maybe even next year be huge.
I think they will be. They're moving into new premises, bigger premises. They're going in with Lotus actually.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's a lot of cool stuff with Lotus, and they have stuff to offer. I'm pretty sure they'll be able to work together. So. I think they're definitely going places. They don't have any competitors at the minute. I mean, if you think electric mountain board, you think Trampa.
Yeah, 100%.
There's MBS make mountain boards and stuff, but they don't make electric stuff.
Yeah.
The DIY community facilitates all of that, but there's no one else making a proper production mountain board like that. You could say the Baja board is an off-road board, but it's not a mountain board, and it's certainly it's not the same class as a board. It's more of a vehicle, right? Like an off-road vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah, even some of these boards are big, chunky, and look off-road. They don't really cope with off-roading.
No, I mean, I'm yet to find out about the Pantera, but we'll see. But certainly the Trampa boards, you know, they're perfect for it. And for the UK countryside, which is where the majority of us live, it's perfect. So yeah, I think that they're going to carry on going from strength to strength.
Yeah, for sure.
And we're going to see some exciting innovation from them, definitely.
So what would you say, maybe over the next year or so, top 3 or 4 companies bringing stuff to the scene?
Top 3 companies bringing stuff to the scene over the next year. PA systems that are clear, maybe.
And ones you can understand.
Yeah, it's just please.
Yeah.
Top 3 board companies bringing stuff to the scene next year. I think Evolve will have something special cooking.
For sure.
100%, they've definitely got to be in there.
Yeah, and they've been going for 10 years, longer than Boost. They've always been growing and making stuff, so they won't stop.
Definitely.
Yeah.
The Chinese, I would say the Chinese thing is, they do a lot of copying, but also they do some innovating as well. So I think that's, to be honest, the way it's going, that's most stuff's going to be coming out of there anyway.
Yeah.
And of course I would say Trampa as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. Trampa would be my number 1 up there. I've seen some of their products they've got coming out in the near future, and I think they're really exciting. They've got some really cool stuff.
Okay, interesting. Cool. Well, thank you very much. If you haven't checked out Lee's channel, obviously I'll put a link at the end of this video. You should check him out for amazing off-road mount. They are seriously so cool from like start to finish, how to build a mountain board. Do check them out. They are fantastic. Dude, thanks for the chat.
Oh, you're welcome, man. Enjoyed it.